socials, is that correct?
I think so. It says we're live for like 3 seconds now. So awesome. 7 seconds, 8 seconds, 9. I wonder how quickly we get, because I put the word China in the description. I wonder how fast we get kicked off there. It's sort of like become a running joke to see how quickly we can get banned off Facebook and Saltbook and social media and all the
Trying to
rest.
score records,
Well, I don't think we'll ever beat the first show. We got nearly 300 copyright
crazy.
strikes.
All right. 20 seconds to go. We're coming back.
Sexual title.
What? Sexual title?
Actual title. What's the actual title on social media?
Oh, I can't remember.
Oh, baby, she's definitely got it. My line video, it is edgeradioaustralia.com. We are talking finance. Got Derek beside me. G'day, mate. Good to be here.
How you doing?
Great to hear you and see you. And I'm going to turn the mic. I always wait till the last second to turn on the mic for Travis Carter. It's on.
Where did you find this guy?
Actually, it was in a wheelie bin.
It really was a bit.
Yeah, it was a sad day. I was young. I needed money. Oh, dear. And speaking of money, hey, look, you could be the right guy to talk to about this.
Here we are. It's one that affects everybody. A lot of people are in denial. I don't need money and all that sort of stuff.
I'm not
It's kind of-
Egyptian.
yeah, and it's kind of like, well, go down to the grocery store, load up your trolley full of groceries, and tell me
Lettuce.
how you don't need money to get through there.
Oh, look, well, I'm not prepared for today's show. We've raced in. There's all sorts of crazy stuff. I even forgot to turn your mic on. I was so hesitant to turn his on. I kept you quiet, mate. So I apologise for that.
There we go.
But we're all pressed. We're all going. How is the world out there on social media? Good to see you guys out there.
We've got a few there.
And it's great weather for ducks. Let's face it. Today has been raining. It's a Forrest Gump style. It's been sideways rain, top rain, you name it. It's been coming from everywhere.
I have to say, parts of Tonkin Highway coming up were actually flooded.
But
both,
so not surprised.
Both sides flying out the sides. It was hairy.
It was. Well, I bet it was.
I entered a puddle, and the guy next to me just swamped me. All I could see was water in front of me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And you don't stop because you go, the next guy behind me will slam me in the back.
Yeah.
And you go, but I hope nobody's in front of me. It's just, freaky.
It's one of the funny things because Derek's car, I always find this hilarious.
It's my wife's car.
The wife's car, whatever. Its motor is small enough to put in a motorbike.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
What
Okay.
is it, 1.1, 1.2?
Can I ride that
Probably
motorbike?
1.3, I think.
1.3.
No,
So,
it's not. It's big. It's 1.5. Sadly, I know. 1.5 and 1.6.
is it really?
I know far too much about cars than I should. Yes, it's either 1.5 or probably 1.6 in that case.
And yet, it is the most reliable car.
That's
It
right.
just keeps going.
Because
Keeps
there's
going.
no drain on the motor because it just doesn't weigh anything.
There's no bells and whistles either. It could go wrong. It's great.
Well, I drive the Edgemobile in, which is our little Edge Citroen. You've got to say it's a Citroen. You must say it like Pepe Le Pew. We must do this. But the difference between driving a Korean car or a Japanese car and a French car is when you hit those puddles, right?
Mm.
In a French car, you just cross everything. It's still going to be running on the other end of the puddle, right? It's just you can do it. And when it comes
like a
out,
Peugeot.
you can still running. It's Christmas. It's beautiful.
It's very similar to Peugeots because, they're amazing cars when they work, but that's only about 10% of the time.
That's right. Well, I don't know if you know this, but Citroën and Peugeot are from the same group. So there you go. Same factory, all that sort of thing. So, they put together with great engineering and some wings and prayers. And it really depends in a French factory what day they were made. Okay? Really does. And what the price of baguettes were, all sorts of things.
And whether they had the white flag up or not.
Yeah,
So-
how many lunch breaks they had? Cafe.
Speaking of white flags, who's our white flag?
You want to talk money today?
So are we doing dribble shit about cars or are we actually getting...
No, that's what I was going to say. We've got the white flag up. Let's talk about China.
You want to talk about China? And we end up talking about France. Okay.
Oh, dear. I'll leave it straight to you guys. Now, look, there's a lot has been going on with China. When we
it's all over the
Pelosi
shop.
got involved, all of that. So hasn't that been fun? But let's talk about the money because that's what we're here for.
Well, if you haven't noticed, there's this company called Evergrande, and it's in a lot of trouble. It has a debt of about $300 billion worth of debt. So if you thought you had money problems, well, guess what?
You know what's really...
It could be worse.
Hang on. Just to put this into perspective, right? How much is Australia's gross debt? Isn't it like 1.2 trillion or something?
Yeah.
And yet there's this one Chinese company has 300 billion. So it's 1/4 of our total Australian debt.
It's one
huge.
company.
It's one company.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think what's really important for the people at home to understand is what does this company actually do?
Well, that's the thing. They're property developers. So
Oh.
it's housing. That's the big
Right.
issue. And China's gone on this big building spree over the last, how many decades, just building cities.
So fast.
Yeah, and a lot of them are empty. It's like brand new ghost towns. And it's starting to cause problems now because these guys are defaulting on their debt. They've been doing that since November, and are looking at the one step closer to bankruptcy, official bankruptcy.
I mean, that's a big call. And when you owe, was it 300 billion?
Yeah.
I can't even. I can't fathom
one
that.
company.
Yeah.
That's not even like because the other thing you got to remember in China, there's not just one. There's multiple companies like this that are just astronomically large.
That is more money than my ex-wife put on my visa. That's incredible. That's a big. It's a big number.
No, you had to have a stab out your ex-wife there.
And what's interesting about this is you mix that in with, so most Chinese companies are owned by the state.
Yep.
Right. In case you didn't know that. And there are other companies that are being affected by this because, of course, they have suppliers, they have creditors, and all this sort of stuff. It has a ripple effect.
Of course.
Couple this with the news article that was coming out recently of regional banks in China who are having difficulties. The people go to the bank, they could get the money out.
Well, that's a problem having
I
here in
have to,
Perth.
this is one of the things I have to give credit to. There's this one company is they do have it in Australia. It's called the Epoch Times. I actually got the article we're talking about. Actually, was look them up. Epoch Times. Do you remember what the title of the video is called? I'll put it on the website later. They've done this really cool article on it. But the thing I find really fascinating, especially when you start talking about newspapers and articles and all that sort of stuff, you go have a look at the Australian Financial Review and all that sort of stuff, and they're like, "Oh, China's great. Oh, this is fantastic, happy days." By the way, welcome to the stream, Josh. And so all of a sudden you see this article saying how bad it is, and so again, a lot of people won't know what these bank runs are, and no one's reporting on it.
Forgot to do the disclaimer. Okay, just because we're talking about bad Chinese government doesn't mean we're talking about bad Chinese people. The stupid thing is, when we're talking about these issues,
we're talking about bad economy. We're not talking about bad politics.
Well, you might be. Yeah.
You know what? I actually don't blame the CCP for this.
Sorry,
because once Derek explains what's going on with the bank runs, it's actually really interesting.
Well, that's why it's here, to explain it, because I certainly don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Because I thought it was the CCP that was screwing everything up. But no, it's
okay.
not. It's the banking. They've got a fragmented banking system.
Gotcha. Chinese banking system is very different. I mean, you remember that their population is so much bigger than what we have here in Australia.
No comparison.
They're massive, right? And a lot of the different banks are in different regional areas. Now, I haven't done a lot of study that's going to be upfront about that.
Right.
But the rules around banking are different, particularly when it comes to property, that they have to start paying a developer from the go in terms of the mortgage payments, as opposed to here in Australia, there's this time when you get it and then you occupy it and the settlement happens, et cetera.
Okay.
So they're paying during the development phase on interest, these people.
But you have to pay, when you build a house here, though, you've got to pay progress payment.
Progress, exactly. It's staggered. So if you own the land, you pay for the land. You don't pay for the building.
Sure.
They put the slab down, you pay for the slab as well. And then slowly your payments go up until you actually move in. In China, it's not that way. Let's say you want to buy an apartment, the apartment, say $500,000, your mortgage repayments are based immediately on the total $500,000.
That's why they build so quickly, obviously.
Well, and that's why
apparently not.
It's been slowed down. Apparently, they've had to tear down 10 of these buildings over there with this particular company.
Wow.
And because they were built illegally, apparently. I mean, the difficult thing in all of this is it's very hard to get information out of China because it's communist and because they culturally don't like to lose face in the world's economic thing. So discerning what is actually happening and what is being reported are two different separations. And you've always got to have that filter in mind when you see stuff, what's happening on social media versus what's happening in the official mainstream news. But yes, when a bank freezes your funds, that's for a family, that's a very serious place to be in because and no bank wants this, right? Even in the Western world here, they hate a run on the bank, which is where everybody decides we want to cash out now because they don't have the cash in their vaults
that makes sense.
right at that time. And so it's a nightmare for the banking system.
I mean, look, back in with the Great Depression, the big run on the banks in the late 20s, I mean, that caused absolutely catastrophic issues. And you think about that, I mean, that was a whole different world 100 years ago, effectively, where now we are so reliant on the banks for everything. Let's face it, our entire process of anything, any purchase that we do. So I can imagine just what I run on the banks now, what kind of issues it would cause.
Huge, absolutely huge. Because I mean, you can't pay your rent, you can't pay your mortgage, you can't pay your groceries. And this is the whole system is so fragile. The whole financial system is incredibly fragile, and this is the opposite image of a lot of investment firms, and that they actually project. We're safe and we're secure if you invest with us. And you actually look at it. I mean, electricity goes down, right? The other day here in Perth. Well, they couldn't fly anybody in and out of Perth Airport. Right? And it's like this. It's become so electronic now, transmitted by light. If your ATM's shut down, you can't get cash out of the ATM.
Yeah, well, hang on, if you can find an ATM, let's be honest. Right?
Well, how else are you going to pay for it? Are you going to do your Visa card or whatever, your credit
doesn't
card?
work. Yeah, absolutely. I had an interesting thing, and this is a side note, but it's about your money kind of situation, is superannuation. I actually contacted my super fund recently, and cut a long story short, they don't even exist anymore, and they've sold the thing on and on and on. And I'm trying to find it. I'm thinking, hang on, like this is supposed to be my money that's so secure. Where the hell has it gone?
There are searches online that you can look at.
I've done that.
Yeah.
But as I say, the original group that it went with, it doesn't exist anymore. So I've got to.
Have you found it?
Pardon?
Have you found it? Yeah.
I have found it, and they won't let me access it.
Oh,
So it's good to see it's my money. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Well, when the Australian government gets in trouble, what's the first thing they don't come after?
Mm-hmm. Spot on.
So this is why I'm a big fan for people who it's appropriate for self-managed super funds, because then you are managing yourself. Yeah, that's a big responsibility because you're investing for your retirement. However, flip it to the other way. I mean, the people who are managing your retirement right now, have you met them?
No, I think they're in Aruba. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know their names?
No idea.
I've got a hurler of a story for you because I do actually have a self-managed super fund. Now, just for the people listening, disclaimer time. No, this is not personal advice. If you do need personal advice, please go see your accountant, financial professional, or financial
It's
planner.
not even general advice.
This is
factual information.
Stuff that's happened to us. So take it with a grain of salt, but do not source, please. So with mine, I was working out at the time. I contributed, I think it was $7,500 on top of what I actually had to pay for superannuation. So I think all up was about $9,500 that got put in.
Yep.
Actually, be more, probably closer to $15,000. Anyway, so the super fund that was managing it at the time actually suffered a $200 loss on their investments. Obviously, take out all your insurances that are with it, which was like $2,600, and then they paid themselves on top of that a $3,000 commission.
Of course they did.
And I called up and said, "What the hell? You've lost me money, and you're paying yourself a commission?" And they go, "No, because it's based on the total amount that the account went up."
Wow.
So they stole, in my opinion, they stole half of my contribution on top of what the government said you had to put in.
This is why I'm a big fan.
That day I created a self-managed super fund and I hold it all in cash in the bank and I'm getting better returns than what the super account people were doing. So
I'm a bigger fan of those who invest are paid on performance, not on an administration fee.
Yeah.
It's a model that gives them incentive, and if they lose money, they don't get paid.
That's right.
That's a better model.
Imagine if the Australian government worked on that. But every year you're not in debt, you get paid.
So coming back to China for just a moment, people might go, well, what's the big deal about that? How does it affect my life? Well, you've got to remember that we are a big trade partner with China, right? They're the second biggest economy in the world. So when America sneezes, the world feels it. It's the biggest economy, right?
Yep.
China is becoming a bigger influence, obviously, in the Asian regions, etc. And I'm not even talking politics, I'm just talking economics.
Sure.
When you couple that with, who do we sell most of our iron ore to? China. They're our biggest buyer of that. So when you mix that in with tensions in politics, it becomes very interesting because you trickle down the chain of companies that employ people to actually work to dig out the iron ore out of the ground, the mining industry, et cetera, it affects a lot of people when you've got these kind of things going on, when your big company like Evergrande is facing these financial difficulties.
Now, the thing I want to bring up, and it's really good because you were talking about Evergrande, a lot of people actually don't realize one of the leading contributing factors to the global financial crisis. So in America at the time, they were doing 0% mortgages. I think it was 5 years. So what was happening is the government said, right, we'll try this out for young professionals, police, nurses, or anyone who's just finished university.
Sure.
You can get your first mortgage, 0% interest up front for 5 years. We'll capitalize mortgage. You pay it out after the 5 year period. So by that stage, you're now well established in the career. You've generally had a few pay rises, and you're now going up into the upper thresholds for income.
Okay.
Fantastic, worked an absolute treat. So I think it was George W. Bush Jr. at the time authorized it to be open like that. So all these people who previously didn't qualify for mortgages, turned around, got these mortgages they should never have had in the first place. The 5-year comes up, they're like, well, can't pay it, have it back. And so they were giving all these houses back. And so what happened is the housing market in America just started falling over. And all of a sudden, all these big major corporations that are very heavily invested into the housing property investments, all of a sudden, they've got no money. And normally what would happen when you give a house back, they take it, they sell it, and take the loss and move on. But when 60% of your portfolio is all of a sudden gone, and the house market is absolutely plummeted. Now, in the article, and why this is relevant to China, they're saying that the property market in China is estimated to drop 25% in the next 12 months.
That's horrendous.
So if you think about how many people live in China, this is in our neighborhood as well. So assuming that the same sort of like ripple effect is going to happen, all these people who are still currently paying mortgages, and this is, we'll go to the Bankruns in a moment, all of a sudden their house prices have dropped 25%. You've got all these people around saying, no, we're not paying that, have the house back. We don't want it. They've all defaulted on their loans. So why would they be paying for a house that's like let's say it's a $500,000 house, but the house is only worth $350,000.
Exactly right.
So you'd be stupid to pay it. So all of a sudden, the people who are the good mortgage payers start handing their houses back as well, saying, no, I'm not paying for it. Why? It's not helping me financially in any way. So all of a sudden, these big major financial companies have no money coming in. They've been given all these really poor assets back, and they can't sell them.
So, okay, to me, this is what it comes down to. This is like this sort of stuff. We're talking about China and think, okay, we live in Perth. Hey, how much it's going to affect us? This is how it's going to affect us. It's as simple as that. I mean, in Western Australia, China is, we talk about the Americans getting the old cold. No, I'm telling you what, I mean, there's a reason we got the Wu flu, man. I'm telling you right now, because we are so reliant on China. Whatever happens there, and if they're drawing down their mortgages and that sort of thing, and people are handing back their houses, it's got a catastrophic flow-on effect for Australians.
The other interesting part is that there is a threat of war. Now, China does go to war, and war is expensive. It's not cheap, right? So, not just in life, in the shedding of life, and that, but of course economically as well. There are some businesses that do very well under war.
Arms dealers,
drug
traffickers,
aviation industry.
Anybody with the name Clinton?
Too soon? I never know. Well done, Aaron.
Never.
You beat me to it. But yeah, just going back to the housing side of things, people handing the houses back, they're already there's massive protests in China at the moment, and we'll get to this one after a break, where people have already stopped paying their payments for houses because they've delayed the time that's taken to build the houses so much. So it's already started. So the writing's on the wall. So it'll be interesting to see how far and how soon this will actually start affecting Australian markets as well.
It'll be fascinating. And I mean, there's been so much, and bear in mind too that China's also, some Chinese companies also on the US markets as well. So that's going to have an international effect there if that plays out. But it really affects the banking sector because of the credit issues, the bonds, and all that sort of stuff. And then the banking sector feels it. I mean, give you an example. A few years ago, it's a little bit of a sidetrack, but you're going to understand. Remember that GameStop, that company that went up, right? The guys on Reddit,
that was
social media, were pumping it up.
Sorry, I must admit, I wasn't part of that.
So for those who don't know the story, basically what happened was a bunch of guys on Reddit discovered that there was a hedge fund that was shorting GameStop, the company, which means that they were wanting it to come down in price.
So GameStop is a company that hires computer games to gamers like myself, and then you can play it for 3-6 months, whatever, and then you just switch the game out for another one. Very similar to Steam is another company that's sort of like the online marketing thing. It's like the Blockbuster for computer games.
All right. So what happened is that these guys say, we're going to pump this price up, right? Bunch of guys, they take on Goliath, David versus Goliath, and what they do is they pump it from about $30-something up to over 300. In a matter of days. And so what happens is hedge fund is these hedge funds put millions and millions of dollars on these trades. Now they've got a liability on their hands because it's gone past their price and they're liable for what it is. It had a flow-on effect. It was even affecting banks in Europe because these guys did this, right?
Wow. So proud. I put $200 in.
Because of the leverage that the way the economic system works. So you can see the butterfly effect of when something goes wrong, it has a ripple effect around the world.
Not just that, it's the power of the people, because you got to remember, this is the gaming community that took control of that one. They saw what they were doing. They're trying to destroy the company.
Right.
And this was just literally a mum and dad business, massively successful, great platform. It was just an amazing business structure.
Okay.
And so the gaming community as a whole, whether it was $5, $100, $50, whatever, they all jumped in and said, you know what, we're going to carry this company until this hedge fund, and sorry about my language, literally fucks off and leaves them alone. And so that's what everyone did. We all piled in and out muscled the hedge fund.
I mean, it'd be nice if everyday Australians or everyday people of the world would chip in and contribute that strongly to their own finances anyway. That'd be great.
Yeah. Just quickly as well. So we do have Josh online, and Taz and Tony are watching online as well. So
hi there
Taz
to
and
you
Tony.
guys.
So that's Inferno Insomnia on the good old Twitch.
Very, very cool. All right, shall we take a break, guys? Yes. Well, I've chosen a song. Okay, I like to do this. You're on edgeradioaustralia.com. Enjoying We're Talking Money.
With Derek, the Dollar Dazzler.
I'm turning your mic off now, my friend.
Just so you know, the other mic's the one for the people on the good old social media.
And just so you guys know what song's playing, I'm playing computer games on my set. All right, we're away.
Computer games or video games by Lana Del Rey?
Oh, I don't think I've got that.
Oh, okay. Do you have that one? Video games by Lana Del
Let me
Rey?
have a look.
Because that's Line's favourite song.
You guys happy with that one?
Yeah.
Ooh, I better go get
I'm
that.
happy with that.
Speaking of the devil, I mean the wife.
Nope, I've only got video killed the radio star, so we miss out the video.
Hey, James. Hey, Mum.
So on this, going to this next one, we'll obviously keep talking China.
Okay.
Well, unless you have, well, I think there's more to talk about.
Yeah.
Um,
Where do you want to take it?
well, no, that's it.
I'm trying to bring it back to the everyday consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. No, I'm really happy with the way. I just, like to know more. Simple as that. So, yeah, that's right back to you. And what can you...
I think we can go to politics, but I think you have to, because the stock market is influenced by three things: politics, economy, and interest rates.
Yep.
So I think the world is slowly waking up that it's got to become our sovereign. We see these moves with the United States going, we need to produce our own semiconductors and that sort of stuff. And that hence the trip to Taiwan by Pelosi and all that sort of thing.
Right, actually on that front. Okay, so do you think that's got the trip with Pelosi's got anything to do with microchips or not?
Who can say with politics? I mean, it's interesting though. You know what happened before she went?
No, which bit?
So Congress passes a bill to put in a ton more investment into.
Yeah. And her husband
buys all, was it $5 million worth of NVIDIA shares.
Yeah, the people with the contract. Yeah, he's a very lucky guy. So, he's got the Midas touch.
Well, it's all coming out, and that's we're in the age of the truth coming out, and that's what's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you can imagine how long these
shenanigans
have been going on.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't remember we were talking about it.
Sorry about that. It wasn't the wifey.
I just remember you talking about the fact that
Alfred.
Taiwan's got the basically 50% of all of the microchips, and to me, I mean, I look at the US and we've got all those cars sitting there waiting for chips, and so much of the American economy is sitting there doing nothing at the moment because they're waiting for that. I just wondered maybe if Pelosi was involved in that.
Well, there are stories about the food shortages right now. I don't think there are food shortages. I think they're being stockpiled somewhere to create a crisis.
Didn't they do that in Venezuela? I thought the Venezuelan government got caught out and stockpiling food.
I think I remember that too.
I haven't heard that one yet. How long ago was that?
That's
During
a number of years ago.
Yeah, just, when Venezuela went to absolute shit, and then dollar went to crap, and then everyone started using gold flakes for a currency instead of using the actual.
Yeah.
And I think it was North Venezuela started using the US dollar instead.
We're back in 30 seconds. You guys ready?
Sure.
Of course not.
I can do another song if you want me to. Do you want another song?
No, I want to chat to Derek because he's such a handsome man.
Well, this is why we do it in the video, right?
Yeah, of course. And also so we can talk to people like Tony, Taz, Alfred, and Josh. So guys, make sure if you do have a comment, excuse me. Good old Alfred, video killed the radio.
Ed,
COVID killed the
Australia. How
food.
you going? Ed is Malloy with you. And we're talking money. We've got Derek in the room and very happy to have him here. And as always, a great disappointment of having Trace Carter here. But,
I still find it
compromises.
amazing that you didn't even turn on my mic until after you introduced me again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Can you see a pattern forming here, mate? All I'm just saying, we've now worked together in radio for several years, and it's called protection. Okay? Yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Based on legal advice, we leave his microphone.
And what people don't know is that what he does, sometimes he does things when the cameras aren't around, and he's disgusting.
I am not.
He wets parts of his body I never want to touch. Okay? Just, he's
Web of
disgusting.
lies. Web
So,
of lies. By the way, Fiona's just tuned in. So, hey, Fiona, how you going?
g'day, Fiona.
Jenny, you're coming at the wrong time. So I
We're talking
apologise.
about wedding pieces.
No, Fiona's dealt with me at the past with a few dinners, so I think she's pretty used to it by now.
Right, okay, yes.
So,
I think after the show, what we do is with the acronym gel, we just cover ourselves in it. It's beautiful, right? Okay.
Knock yourself out, Aaron.
you do know that bottle says do not use in any orifices.
Bit late. Okay.
Ring
I have got the
takes
flu
it to
right
a
now.
whole new level.
It's not the woo flu. It's just good old fashioned man flu, but
Which is more serious.
far more serious. Absolutely.
Serious. How you
Man
going,
flu,
okay?
this is like been dying 20 times over. Like, shocking.
Actually, one of our listeners, Sharon, who's been on me about my.
On you.
I have the right to remain silent. No, she has been very supportive, and she's basically been suggesting that maybe I drink too much Red Bull, right? So I've been off the gear for a while now. Okay?
Off the gear.
Off the gear, yes.
We're both DJs here.
Yes, I know. I refer to Red Bull as the gear, okay, because I'm an old guy.
Why? Because it speeds you up.
It does, exactly.
Apparently it gives you wings.
Oh dear. Anyway, I had that yesterday as part of my regimen, and that's why I'm here today. Because without that Red Bull, there would be no wings. We right now, you guys would have to talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, that's all right.
Exactly.
At least
How
I get the
long-
computer
That's your
working properly.
medicine, huh?
Oh, hush. Now, before we went off to play computer games at edgeradioaustralia.com, we were talking about China and obviously the financial issues. Mate, we spoke about a couple of things about off air, and for those who are watching on Twitch or wherever may have heard our conversation, we were talking about Taiwan and Pelosi going there. Of course, look, the fact is money and politics are very, very closely entwined.
Absolutely.
So we had a conversation last week about apparently you were saying I think it was half of the world's computer chips were made in Taiwan.
Taiwan, yeah, 50% of them. Yep.
Wow.
Semiconductors.
Wow.
So you can see why Taiwan is such price land at the moment.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he who controls that has economic power and also military power.
Spot on. Okay. So, I personally looked at Pelosi. Pelosi could have just gone there on the quiet kind of thing, just done her little tour and got in and out. The fact that she announced it beforehand was, as far as I'm concerned, she was just being a troublemaker. I don't see a positive to her announcing that she was going. Would have been far better to announce something.
The problem is a lot of the Democrats are doing a lot of things that don't make sense.
No.
But let's be honest here. Like,
As Biden wanders off into the grass.
Nancy's mental capability at the moment is as questionable as Joe Biden's.
Oh, look, come on. But look,
She's
at least a good thing, okay, with Nancy Pelosi is you always know how she's feeling because her face is so expressive. It's one expression, it's Botox, and that's it. There is no, she's a frightening woman. She reminds me, okay,
Where's this going, Aaron?
It's going here, okay? I'm a man of a particular age. Do you remember Skeletor? Okay,
Oh.
Masters of the Universe?
It's a constant meme now.
Oh.
Like there's Skeletor just laying down. Da-da-da-da-da. Until next time, and then he runs off. So sort of like Nancy Pelosi.
She
Hey,
does,
let's go to Taiwan, just piss everyone off. Until next time.
Until next time. There we go. So, forgetting about Pelosi, forgetting about Skeletor.
Someone's not Photoshop Nancy Pelosi's head onto Skeletor.
Oh, I
now
so
for
hope
those
so.
memes.
Because I don't have those skills.
Hey,
But-
Tyler, if you're listening.
Get onto it, son. All right. Now, let's talk like adults. Tell me, mate. Tell me about how the situation unfolds and how this opens up financially.
Well, as you said and highlighted, you cannot separate politics from the stock market. 3 factors: politics, economy, and interest rates are the things that influence the stock market. So we're always looking at information in terms of the game of politics. There's so much politics going on with China, Australia, United States, everywhere.
Yep.
And I think from an Australian perspective, it kind of really started when, there's a question of we need to look at where this Wuhan virus how it actually happened. And that led to all these sanctions going on and tit for tat politics,
Oh, yeah,
and basically, well, we're going to put a tariff on this. Well, if you're going to do that, we're going to put a tariff on this. And so there's all that going on.
Right.
And I think what's starting to dawn, and I hope, whether it's actually actioned or not, but I think it's Australians started to think, you know what, we are over-reliant on this trading partner. We have got to start looking either at other trading partners, and then you saw the Prime Minister at that time, Scott Morrison, go over to Boris. They're doing deals, and Boris is on there doing videos of, hey, we want to buy your Tim Tams and all this sort of stuff. This kind of thing.
It's a little bit sad that the number one thing that we export, that we produce, is Tim Tams. We've got one of the biggest iron ore resources in Australia: uranium, nickel, gold, diamonds, and yet we export Tim Tams.
It's coal or chocky bickies. I mean, come on. Really,
mate, I like a Tim Tam once in a while.
Yeah.
As long as you've got the coffee to go with it, like one corner.
Have you chewed iron ore lately, Travis? I mean, come on.
I have. I just chewed it and trying to turn it to a knife.
It has a steely taste about it. So,
you can tell the dad's in there.
So anyway, look, I mean, that's the situation we're looking at. All that kind of argy-bargy about trade agreements, et cetera. And I think I'm a big fan of producing your own thing and looking at trade stuff as a bonus. I mean, it baffles me how much we ship our dirt offshore and don't refine it in our own country.
You always look at your own life, and you look at my thing when it comes to steel. BHP Steel. I used to be in the motorsport game for a long time. Obviously, got to build roll cages and fabrication, that sort of carry on. I used to pop down the old,
Mine and 10 used to have.
steel shops. I literally go straight to BHP in Monterey, and it was made in Australia.
That shows how old you are.
Well, I get my horse and cart and I go. But I get there, but the thing is, it was all quality steel, and it was all
BlueScope steel.
Pardon?
BlueScope steel.
Well, it was just before they actually called it BlueScope, but that was the changeover period. And I think, and I could be wrong, might be pulling this out of my butt, but I think that was kind of the period where it kind of started changing. When I went to BlueScope, I think there was a lot of export stuff on the whole bit. I also know a lot of it upsets me when it is okay. I'm going to use another example about West Australian stuff. Furniture, okay? West Australia used to have an incredible furniture industry because with Jarrah, Marri, all that sort of gorgeous stuff, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to make frames out of anything back in the day, Jarrah was the go.
Yeah.
Now, okay, you can jump up and down. You can be whatever you want to say about the old growth forest. Look, I think totally separate issue. We could talk about that another day. But talking about finances here, that industry was really important to WA. Now, that industry got absolutely killed here in WA because of legislation about old growth forests. But strangely, you know what? They still cut down the trees because what happened instead is instead of making that furniture here, they would send the Jarrah, send the Marri to China, boom, manufacture it, and then send it back. Literally send it back. It's ridiculous. And all those jobs and all those apprentices, and you got to think about young people here, right? It's a big deal.
And skills, craftsmanship.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Been lost.
It has all been lost, and it used to be such an important industry. And from a financial point of view, you're sending that money overseas, right? And if you want to send that money overseas, great. If it makes your toaster cheaper, all that sort of carry on. If you can buy a sandwich maker from Kmart for $7.50, whoopie do. I'd rather pay $30 for my sandwich maker. Thanks very much. Have it knowing that it's going to last years and years, and know that that money has gone to perhaps a family, their children having jobs, right? So farming it all off drives me nuts, but hopefully this will be the great change.
There's a balance. I mean, there's some things you can't get in Australia, which have to be done overseas. And you look at primary production, some things will not grow in our climate. You've got to get that. If you want that in your country, you're going to have to import it. So there are those kind of exceptions and I think those are the balances that you've got to get there. But I think there's a bit of a wake up going, you know what, we need to be a bit more sovereign. We need to be less dependent on overseas importation of stuff. It's been interesting for me. I've had a client who imports a lot of goods from China in my business and that sort of stuff. And with the whole disruption that happened with the chain supplies, it was a real concern for his business. It was taking ages just to get product over that he could sell and do that. And I think the smart business owners have forecast that and have had the cash, have reinvested and get more product in to do so.
Well, it's
but
funny
again,
you said that.
if we did that locally, it wouldn't be such a big issue, because you're not crossing so many borders and seas.
A friend of mine runs a flooring business. All his wood used to come from China. The moment COVID started coming out, he foresaw the supply chain issues, straight away he reached out to Vietnamese producers, and now he imports both from. I think he's totally cut off China now because they were just too slow. Now 100% of all the timbers that he brings in to make his flooring out of all comes from Vietnam. So
you've got to look at your other sources. Yeah,
a lot of people, and now he's also talked to other countries as well because he goes through an insane amount of flooring. And so straight away, the moment he saw the problems coming, you got to be flexible. First of all, you got to be fast.
You've got to be proactive.
Yeah,
you can't just sit there and wait for the changes to come to you. You've got to get off your.
I reckon it took 3 months to sort it out.
The biggest issue that we've had and why we import is because it's cheaper to do so than to produce it locally.
Yep.
And that's been the big thing. And I think the whole COVID thing has woken businesses up and going, well, hang on a second. We can't just rely. Those supply chains are actually fragile.
Yeah.
They're a lot more fragile. And if there is if there are certain products that you actually rely upon to be importing, like let's say there's something like a heart machine. Let's say a heart machine is for hospitals is produced overseas.
Hang on. Say heart again.
Heart. What's the deal?
Heart machine.
I'm half.
Full sounding Canadian, eh?
Let's get some local.
Well, I'm half American, half Australian. There you go.
Close enough.
Half and half. So now I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
Getting heart machines into the country.
If heart machines are not produced right, heart monitors and lab not produced in Australia, and suddenly your chain supplies are gone from that country, and you're relying on them to do that, and there's a political thing that comes up, and they say, well, we're not going to send them to you anymore, or if we do, we're going to really hike up the prices and this sort of stuff. You've got some real problems.
Of course.
And you hit the nail on the head there, especially with what's happening in China at the moment. If their property market does drop 25%, people start handing back their houses, the building industry goes down, the banking industry goes down, the real estate industry goes down, all these industries go down, China's still got to make their money back somehow.
Yeah.
So they don't jack up the prices of everything that they export, or the tariffs that don't go in. It'll go even further. So what happens is all these $7.50 toasters and all that you used to get will all of a sudden start paying $13, $14, $17. So everything's going to go up. So what happens in China is extremely important to Australia because it's going to have such a harsh impact on our everyday living.
Well, look, China's gone through this period where, and I don't know all the details, but let's face it, they went from a period where they had so many people living rural lifestyles in what we would abject call poverty for such a long time.
They're a third world country.
Absolutely. And then they've shifted all of these people into the middle class so fast, like an acceleration like nothing that's ever been done before. So this is not going to happen without some hurdles, let's face it. And obviously some policy changes and all kind of thing. With people handing their houses back, that's got to sort of say, hey, maybe we went too fast. Maybe the decisions made, the financial decisions. You've got a communist country who is, quite frankly, the most effective
silencer,
commercial entity in the world.
Yeah,
right.
Very efficient. What's interesting about China too is who they align themselves with. It's Russia, and these countries, and some of the Arab nations as well. What's really interesting because the Arabs are big on the oil, and Russia. Well, I mean, was the sixth largest economy in the world. I think it's about number 6. It's huge as well.
I heard it's number 7 for disposable cash for importing and exporting.
Right,
like it's right up there with the cash flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Russia supplies so much of energy to Europe, has until these sanctions came in, which is just ridiculous. They're heading into wintertime. Hello, wake up.
Yeah.
And
they'll just send it to Serbia and send it out as Serbian oil.
Coupled with this, yesterday, I was just reading before coming in today, Congress passed, the Senate in the United States passed a huge green bill. Which is ridiculous because what they're trying to do is shut down fossil fuel manufacturing. What they haven't thought about is who this is going to affect, right? If you stop mining coal, people freeze.
Yeah.
Right? And they haven't thought it through.
Poor people freeze. Okay, let's clarify that. Like, that's the, like the idiots, one of the politicians in life who I hate the most, Merkel, right? One absolutely toxic, half-witted woman that went out there and with her selling the green agenda, all that sort of carry on, put Germany in such a position where they were completely dependent on that oil and gas coming from Ukraine and USSR, Russia. Okay, but I am showing my age, USSR.
All right. I was around when the USSR.
Yeah. So was Billy Joel. But point being is that they made that dependence. Now the reality is those who are in these positions of power, those who are in the higher parts of society financially, they're not affected by it because they can afford to keep themselves warm. It's like in India at the moment. Like people are literally, they are burning coal inside their houses. Very toxic, very bad for them. But they have to keep warm. I mean, India is a very hot place, but it's still got coldness in the winter, right? This is about the very poorest of society. And a lot of these decisions are made with no consideration for that. So it's caring about the elite and it's not caring about the others. So, yeah, look, would I love a wonderful world where we had these wonderful renewables and they were fantastic and we all had the power that we needed, all wouldn't be great, it didn't hurt the environment? Yeah, that'd be great. But if you're going to have literally hundreds of thousands of millions of people who are dying or freezing because of it, makes no sense.
Well, there are ways to do it cleaner.
Yeah,
cleaner energy, right? And that is even in the coal industry.
Coal power plants aren't that bad. They've got that many scrubbers and all that. And coal, like CO2, is a trace element. It's that minor in the atmosphere.
But you see the extreme of it going when they say, right, you farmers, you're going to have to cull your herd of cows because their farting is disrupting the environment.
Great
that is the extreme, right? It's like, well, hello, if you start doing that, have you thought about what you're going to eat? Well, let's eat crickets. Let's get celebrities.
Well, hang on.
You can get
that right now at a BP service station here in Perth. You can buy crickets.
Yeah.
Get out of here, right?
Yeah.
No way in the world.
This irritates the shit out of me because, like, they're saying that cows emit more methane gas and toxic fumes than a car. All right, you spend the night with a car running, and I'll spend the night with a cow, and we'll talk about it in the morning. I guarantee you, I'll walk out. You will not. But the thing is, they're turning around and saying that cows fart more now. Okay, so how many cows? There's millions and millions of cows. Before we started farming cows, how many buffalo, how many bisons, how many oxen were in the nature in the wild naturally? They don't fart.
No, I'll call you up on this one. The fact of the matter is, no. The fact of the matter is, okay, because of the explosion of desire for meat and for leather, right? They've literally just raised a hell of a lot more cows. So yes, we have more cows on the earth than we've ever had, or not just cows, buffaloes, anything, right?
Yeah.
So that is true, okay. But it's also utter bullshit when you can
get it. Bullshit.
Okay. Because I'm here till Thursday, so I have the meal.
All right, Shrek.
Because, okay, we're still talking about, these massive industries pumping so much CO2, and we're going to make CO2 the issue here, which it's not, that's not the point. But, all of these other industries who are polluting and polluting. You know what? Cow flatulence is not the issue, okay? It is simple as that.
There's a very easy way.
To a whole new level.
There's an easy way to solve the cow flatulence problem. Just go put a sparkler behind the cow's ass, and every time it farts, I have a blue flame coming out of its ass. It'd be just hilarious. So, then methane's no longer a problem.
Or maybe change the cow's diet. I mean, maybe that's what it is.
I think they eat too many veggies. We start going growing.
Do you know what?
Lamb.
You have hit the
lamb eating cows.
Do you know what's wrong with the earth? Too many bloody vegans. That's what it is. Cows are vegans, right? All that methane. Look where it's coming from. Just saying, right? You don't boom after a good satisfying steak. That's all I'm saying. Some potatoes. Damn those potatoes.
Wow.
So
that went downhill a lot faster than what I expected.
All right. Now, I think we should take a break on that. Let's do that, okay? Let me see if I can find some music to play. Actually, we've been
ladies and gents listening live, feel free to chuck a request into the chat because I'd love to hear.
What you'd like to hear us talk about.
Right no, music-wise. Oh, really? Because remember, we are still a very, very new station. Yeah. We are getting our musical identity. So if you want to get anything added to our playlist, make sure you put it through. Chuck it in the comments, and we'll make sure that we get the rights and whatever. We already paid enough money for it, so we can play anything.
I've started playing the music, mate. Just shush, okay? People will hear. Just zip it. Okay, zip it down. It's Dire Straits. It's money for nothing.
EdgeRadioAustralia.com.
Done.
Is it .com or .au?
Oh, just .com. All right.
That was
Mambo number 1.
All right.
Hotel California by Fiona. Now I have to ask Fiona, live version or the pre-recorded one, or I think it was the 40th anniversary where they had the guitarist from.
Well, don't get too excited because I've got one version with
Well, just saying you have to download it.
Just complicate it.
You get what you get.
Just complicate it.
Monica's comment, Gus, take a listen to these guys talking food and finance. 2 best things in the world.
And politics.
Trevor's got to go politics.
All right, we got it.
Now, guys, this song is 3 minutes long, or left of it. And then Hotel California is 6.5 minutes long. So we'll probably finish on.
Let's finish on a Hotel California.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. So what we'll do is I'll stop after this song.
You know how hard that song is to play on guitar? Like the opening solo riff?
No, I do not.
It's great when you finally get it down and it starts sounding like it, but I practiced it for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Non-stop. It is hard. Like, it's really hard.
Which song? Which one?
Hotel California, the intro riff.
Is it really?
Not the strum. The strumming's easy. I learned that in half a day. But the actual riff, like the solo over the top of it, it's hard. It's really hard.
Right, 2 minutes, boys.
Where do you want to go with this next?
I want to talk about Bankruns.
Bankruns.
Yes, the ones that are happening in America, in China, and how the Chinese government are censoring it.
I absolutely need a drink. Do you guys want a drink?
So if you ask me questions, I'll go, I don't know. It's been censored.
Bastard. And we also need to promote our event on the 22nd, which we haven't even started planning for.
Oh my goodness.
Aaron. Aaron.
Who wants a drink? I'm doing drinks.
What have you got?
Pepsi Max,
Bleh.
Coca-Cola,
Bleh.
water,
Bleh. You got Bruce Lee?
Bruce Lee.
Yeah, what does Bruce Lee drink?
I wish I didn't know that. Aaron, do you like Bruce Lee?
Yeah, I'll have Bruce Lee, thanks.
I'll have a Bruce Lee. please.
Fiona said she'll take whatever.
Is that 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen?
No, I think it's the other way around.
Oh, this is a fine drop, this one. It's a good year.
We've had a request for Led Zeppelin Kashmir. I always wondered how to pronounce that. Is it Kashmir or Kashmir?
What?
Kashmir outside.
Cashmere, they said.
100% Australian owned. Aussie natural spring water. Good thing
45
about you-
seconds.
You know what a natural spring water is to Coca-Cola? It's a tap with a filter. There's a place in Gingin where they tap into the underground water.
Okay.
It's owned by Coca-Cola. So I don't know if these are Coke bottles, but they have a... I don't know if factory is the right word for it. They
I'm
don't
gonna go
think
with
pump all
sugar.
the spring water out.
I was
of
going
the
to say
ground.
sugar. It's not, really, is it?
No, that's cancer in a can.
Yeah, cool. All right.
No, the artificial sweetener they use for those
It's really
things,
bad for you. Right.
there was something like a 90% increase in lab rats or increased cases of
Okay, 13
brain
seconds. Shit.
A brick. Scotch rocks.
EdgeRadioAustralia.com. It's Malloy back with you. We're talking money, and I've got the boys in town as well here. We've got Jarek. We've got Travis Carter as well. Thanks, guys, for
Notice
hanging with us, Summer.
the depression in your voice then when you said my name. Oh, Travis Carter.
I feel it every day. Trust me. I'm in therapy. What can I say?
Literally.
I'm here for you, Aaron. I'm here for you.
Thanks,
I need
man.
to talk off
Yeah,
there.
can we hold hands and sing Kumbaya?
The thing I'm really surprised about is the fact that anyone can hear us because your shirt is so loud.
It's one of my quiet ones. Yeah, look, I like to bring the weather with me. What can I say? Right? It's raining outside.
Oh,
Come on.
It's smooth.
Jeez. It's frightening, isn't it? No, but seriously, I was thinking about
Those
this
legs are
actually
frightening,
about
Aaron.
30 seconds ago, and we need to talk about the important subjects.
Just so you know, Aaron, they can see your legs.
Oh, dear. Hang on. Just my legs? Oh, now I've lost my train of thought. That's what my train of thought was. I was thinking about this. I think, you know what, normally when I meet people, I'm very optimistic, okay? I've got the eyes open and all that sort of thing. I'm very, make love, not war. But the first time I met him, didn't like him so much. Just saying. And to see him, become one of my best mates.
The first time you
It's a
met me,
horrible
you
journey.
asked me to go on the radio show with you.
No, I did not. Not the first time.
No.
No.
About
Yeah, it's
6
funny
times
how
over.
that works because my business partner and I are the complete opposites, just
Nice.
absolute opposites, and we get on.
Where's
like a house
Shaq
on
from?
As it
By the
should
way, because he's dark.
Hmm.
Like I was going to say chocolate, but there's that many terms these
Oh,
days you can't
sweet
say
like chocolate,
anymore.
mate. Come on.
Oh, he's a sexy man, and his shirt's nearly as loud as yours.
Good boy.
Yeah,
See, I like him. I like him. Never met him, but I like him
Yeah,
already.
there you go.
Like he is the life of the party. He's hilarious.
Oh,
But is he a good cook?
He is actually.
Oh, nice.
Apparently, he claims to be. I've never tried his cooking, but he claims to be a good cook.
Yeah.
Which is more than I
Nice.
can say.
So I really want to get Aaron and Shaq in the same room.
Let's do it.
But the problem is no one's going to get a word in.
And with that, we're going to move into the next segment, which is called "Shut the Hell Up, Travis." All right.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Can I get a sound effect for that? What have I got? No. How about this one? That's
You're a
better.
goose. You're an absolute goose. Anyway, so we were talking finance and food and all that
Yes.
sort of stuff. And let's be honest, Chinese do make some amazing food. So especially in the rural areas. Now, going back to what we were talking about before, and this is a great segue going from rural area food to rural banking. So in China, they have a fragmented banking system. So in Australia, we've got the 4 big banks and you've got a few others lingering around the outside. Because there's so many people that live in the regional areas of China, they can't have banks everywhere. So with the major banks, especially your deposit taking bank accounts, like your normal everyday spending accounts, the Chinese Communist Party will actually guarantee the money that's in the bank. So if the bank closes and they go bankrupt and all your money goes missing, the CCP will actually give you back your money.
There you go.
Which
Okay,
is
it's a
not a
positive
bad thing.
Absolutely.
So a lot of these regional small banks, because there's thousands of them, absolute thousands of all these little banks, and they're not like the Marawa branch of the ANZ. This is a totally separate Bank of Marawa or Bank of Joondalup, Bank of Meekatharra or Bank of whatever. So every little town has their own little bank.
Yep.
So there's this guy in China who got caught stealing $6 billion, and that's with a B, not million, $1 billion. Billion dollars. He took everyone's deposits and got the hell out of there. But what the problem is, because the banks were saying, you know what, in your everyday spending account, instead of getting 2.5%, we'll give you 4%. And instead of putting the money into the everyday banking account, these guys were lying through their teeth and putting them into high risk investment accounts.
Gotcha.
So that's the CCP went, hey, not our problem. We're not covering it.
Whoa.
So all these people lost their money. So all the regional people in the regional areas, so the mum, dads, the farmers, and the tradespeople, and all that sort of stuff, started going, hey, where's my money? And so they've started protesting. So this is a really good, interesting difference of Australia to China, because a lot of people started putting this up on social media and having protests and all that sort of stuff. So if you thought censorship was bad here, that's been totally blocked over in China. So no one knows about it.
Is that right?
What's happened is, to quell these protests in Australia, we send in the riot police.
Okay.
Which we probably shouldn't have to, but that's what they do. You know what they send in China?
What?
Tanks.
Yeah, well, Tiananmen Square, just saying. Hey.
But notice how none of that is getting onto the media, the news.
No,
There's
well,
all these
okay.
videos.
China experimented in issuing a cryptocurrency that was issued by the government.
Wow, that's not going to shit very fast.
That is concerning, because I don't like the whole idea of governments putting their own cryptocurrency in their own crypto wallet, because they can just as easily take it out.
Yeah.
As put it in, just as a keystroke. But that's an interesting experiment that's going on, especially when you mix it in with social credits and all this sort of stuff, in terms of how you be a good citizen and you have to behave in a certain way to have that funds issued to you. That's the big concern. I think I think things are unraveling in terms of people's liberties and that sort of stuff. There's something about the human heart that wants to be free. And we keep coming back to that in society. We've seen that here in Australia. We've seen that through history. You go to the American Revolution, through to the whole crumbling of the European Empire, etc. in the 1800s. That humanity wants to be free, and I think you can only hold it down for so long until humanity goes. And what we're seeing right now is a kickback across the world, saying, "Hey, with what freedoms I have, I'm kicking back now, and I will fight for it," because it becomes, especially if you're a parent, it's not about you anymore. It's about the next generation.
That's right.
What am I going to leave my kids? And I think this is a rising up. We're in an age where the truth is coming out. We're also in an age where we're seeing people fight for their rights. And I think we're going to see a big overhaul in terms of the finance markets. There's going to be a lot of turbulence leading up to it. But the exciting thing is, I think there's going to be some incredible things that come out of it.
Massive
Once the
opportunities.
mess is cleared.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
and this is a great chance right now. The old Great Reset, but this is a great chance to reset in a positive way. Really, really is. So, yeah.
Well, there is that. It's the Great Reset versus the Great Awakening.
Yeah.
And I think the Great Awakening is going to win.
Yeah.
I think the ones that have tried to control and have a one world government is being exposed. They are desperate to hang on to that and to hold on to it. And I think they're discovering, well, this is unraveling very, very quickly.
Funny enough, Okay, of course, we're not talking about politics at all today, but I was reading last night about good old Klaus Schwab. Okay,
Hang on, Schwab.
and it absolutely blows my mind. It does blow my mind that somebody who is professing to only have an income of 1 million a year, and don't get me wrong, okay, if no one wants to pay me 1 million a year, here's my address, right? But okay, for someone who's got that level of control, okay, has got that position of power, all that sort of character, who is claiming to be on what is, relatively speaking, in that world, a very, very small income. I mean, honestly, can't we see through the bullshit? Honestly, it is ridiculous. And his background and all that sort of carry on. Everyone, I know we've got all conspiracy theories with that. But the fact of the matter is, okay, if something doesn't look right, if it sinks a little bit, normally it means that it's rotten to the core. And to me, the economic
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Exactly.
So,
and that's how I see it.
Well, I have no issue with someone having money. I have no issue with someone having that. And I think we discussed this last week about the tall poppy syndrome that we have in our society.
Right.
We would get past that. It's what you do with that. Well, that's the problem.
Absolutely.
So if you're out to control people and enslave people, and I'm not saying Schwab is, I'm not accusing anyone of it. Okay. But what I'm saying is you can either do it for good or for evil.
Yeah.
And what I think is occurring is that a lot of the elites have basically, it's got to their head, and it's become far deeper than we can imagine, where it's ultimate control, ultimate greed.
Yeah.
At the expense, when you start getting into really heavy stuff, that is, other humans are suffering, other fellow humanity, human beings are being put out, then you've got a huge problem. Righteousness has to reign, justice has to be served, vengeance has to occur.
I'm dead against the tall poppy carry on. As far as I'm concerned, if people want to build personal wealth, good on them, right? Because, okay, as long as you want to have that wealth for freedom so that you can actually achieve that personal freedom or create a better opportunity for your children or whatever the case may be, or to help
you contribute to society.
Contribute to society, exactly that. That is a wonderful thing. So as human beings, we should not be trashing people who are trying to make a dollar, right? It's a wonderful thing for people to be successful.
It's the reason you have a job.
Damn right.
Somebody's out putting a risk of their life and their family livelihood on the line for you to have employment.
Exactly.
The biggest thing that I just need to really stress with that, it's great to take the money you earn and give it away to help out society as a whole, but you've got to be smart where you put it.
Not for sure.
Like, do not give it to the Clinton Foundation. Do not give it to the Gates Foundation or whatever it is. Like, you have a look at all these places like World Health Organization, not World Health Organization.
World Vision.
World Vision, thank you very much. So it's something like 80% of all the money donated to World Vision actually goes to admin costs.
That's right.
And then you see all these pictures coming out of Africa and Asia and all these third world countries where there's kids starving. It's like, hang on, they've been donated hundreds and millions of dollars. How much is actually getting through? I've heard for some of them it's only 10 cents per every dollar. Like, there's astronomical amounts of money.
And we talk right here at home in Australia. Look at White Ribbon, okay, which went into effectively a receivership a couple of years ago, and the name has been rebought because they want to use it for marketing. But White Ribbon was supposed to be this organisation. It was a not-for-profit, and it's going to help domestic violence victims and all that sort of thing. And you can go through all those issues there. Do you know that the entire time that White Ribbon was operating, not one single cent, okay, that was donated got to victims of domestic violence? Not a cent.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Absolutely.
And then they destroyed it, like pulled it down.
Yep.
Because they probably had a whole heap of lawsuits or something against them. And then they rephoenixed it later on.
That's right.
There's a great model that I've come across in terms of the charitable thing. Not-for-profit sector has really changed in the last 10 years. And for the better in some sense, because it used to be somebody would make their millions, billions, whatever it was, and at the end of their life go, you know what, I need to give some of this away to save my soul. And so I'll do some charitable work. Right. What's shifting now is that a lot of companies are actually doing charitable work as they do. There's a shoe company in the United States. You buy a pair of shoes, they'll donate one to a third world country. And they do that. And you're getting millennials and that buying into that who love that kind of model. The other one that I've seen is really, really powerful.
Zambarro's does that as well.
Sorry?
Zambarro's, for every meal you buy, they give a meal, which is really good.
There's another model too where they basically give 100% of the profits to, there's a water company that dig wells in third world countries, particularly Africa, and all the money is to go to that. And then they have a separate fund, which they say they approach partners and wealthier people and say, look, we need this for admin costs. Right. This fund, if you give to this, only goes to our admin so we can actually do the work, and allow people who donate to this fund 100% goes into the actual wells themselves. I think that's a really transparent type of
transparency. How hard is it? Right?
There's another one in Bali. So during COVID, because obviously the government doesn't have money to like welfare payments and all that, so there was a lot of people going without. There's a company called, a foundation called Solomons.
Right.
We actually got to interview him. He was actually on the show where we got kicked off at 89.7.
Oh.
The dude with the dreadlocks. So something like, I think it was 20% of everything that was donated goes to admin. And he was straight up, 20% paying. That's what we cap it out.
Yep.
Anything past that all goes to the actual people. So he buys food hampers, pays for people's medications and all that sort of stuff. So they've been doing some absolutely amazing things over in Bali.
There are some wonderful groups out there. Unfortunately, people like World Vision, okay, or as I say, White Ribbon, do such poor jobs, okay, that they do bring the sector down. Personally, I don't trust not-for-profits anymore. I simply don't.
Well, how's this for a fact that's just come through? And by the way, hi, Michelle from International Sunshine Foundation. Funny that we are talking about foundations.
There we go.
And Alfred also said apparently 3% of the US defense budget is can feed all the starving people in the world. My big concern with that, I could see that, but then let's say who's going to administer that in a lot of these like Uganda or all these like really dodgy third world countries over in Africa. How much of that money is actually going to get to the people? How much is going to get pocketed?
You have to create an economy, all right? There are people who are in a situation where they're desperate, and yes, you do a handout for immediate relief, okay?
Yeah.
But then long term, you've got to start building an economy.
Yes.
Because humanity wants to create. We're meant and designed to create. We're meant to produce. We're meant to contribute. We're meant to make it build to a cause greater than ourselves, okay? So what you've got to do is then build an incentive for people to go, you know what? You can be wealthy, you can be rich, you can do this, but not just for the sake of gathering, but for that you can help other people out as well.
Yep.
And give them a leg up as well. That's how we've got to get the mindset when it comes to that sort of stuff.
And the biggest problem I can see, and my wife's Vietnamese, and she was telling me about this really big highway that they built up in the middle of Vietnam. It was supposed to be 4 lanes each way, and I think it's a single lane each way now because every time I went through a set of hands, like, I'll keep 80% and here's 20% for the project, and it gives it to the next person. The next person does the same thing.
It's more and smaller.
And by the time it actually got built, like there was absolutely no money left over. So one of the big things, and this is why I love foundations, because it takes the government out of these projects.
Yeah, okay.
And it's sort of like the people who want to do the right thing. They've gathered all this money. They want to go out there. They want to leave a legacy. They want to build something that's going to help society, and they take the government out of it. And that's one of the reasons why I actually quite like foundations.
Smart.
I think foundations are amazing things. So.
Now, we are running out of time, so I'm going to throw to you guys, okay? Derek, finance. Let's talk finances, and we'll talk about the China issue there. What would you like to close with, mate? What are your thoughts about the situation we've got right now?
I think we're in fascinating times, and I think we've got to stay positive. I think we really do. You can get in this stuff of doom and gloom. The world's falling apart economically. Really, it's about financial education. I think I see a lot of people hesitate in terms of what should I invest in spending money on themselves. And I think the smarter you are and how to play the game, it plays in the long term of what you do.
Sure.
So if you're there and you're worried about an economic crash and all that stuff, and you've got stocks in the stock market, well, you either pay for the advice to get it, or you educate yourself. Those are the two options you really are left with. And that's it.
Do you know what? That's a pretty little segue there, because apparently we're doing something in that little
I love how you say apparently. It was like one of your ideas, and I totally forgot about it. Yeah. So yes, 22nd of September, we have encouraged. He's agreed to do a.
Delighted to.
He doesn't understand our organising abilities yet. Apparently, we are doing a webinar.
We are.
On the 22nd. Have we set a time yet?
Yes, during the day.
So what it is basic financial knowledge. This is a really good starting point.
All jokes aside, we have actually set a time. I can check my phone. There,
have we?
You talk amongst yourselves, guys.
Anyway, so it is, and all proceeds will be actually going to the station, because obviously at the moment we're paying for everything. So I highly encourage everyone to come along.
All proceeds.
All proceeds. Are we giving you any?
I think you just found out.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's news to me. I didn't get the memo. I got some costs to cover.
Derek has graciously donated his time.
And it'll all be happening on the 22nd of September at 6 o'clock.
You were
There we
talking
go,
about
6
full
o'clock.
transparency a moment ago. I'm going, okay.
Yeah,
Free water.
in my defense, I forgot. But yeah, it's been hosted by obviously Derek, who's from blueskyfactory.com.au. So he's got some amazing, really detailed financial education courses.
Basically, what I did was I worked with some very highly specialized people in terms of law, accounting, financial planning firms. This was like a kid in a candy store, and started teaching these sort of structures and this stuff. And what I did is I compact all that information into a 20-week course, which if you pay for all that advice going to each professional, you'd pay in excess of $16,000. So it's a really cool kind of package.
So make sure you do look up blueskyfactory.com.au. Obviously, we've got edgeradioaustralia.com. We'll put some links up. Has Tyler done that yet?
No.
Have I asked Tyler?
You have not.
It's all in
That's
the
probably why he hasn't done it.
It's a very simple system. If you're in charge of it, it doesn't happen. Okay?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
No, if anything needs to be done on the website or anything, we go ask Tyler and Tyler.
And even the big issues, like we needed a cord. He's had a week to buy a cord. No cord.
No,
So
it's over there in the box.
The moment the show's over, I'm running down the road to buy a new cord. Never mind.
A
It's
new cord?
fantastic to do. Yes, a new cord.
Call to the cord.
That's right. This
Cords
business
wrapped
is all
around the
about
neck.
cords, okay? It's cable management 101. All right, thank you
Cable
very
tie.
much for being here, Travis. I say that without the tongue in cheek. I actually genuinely meant it today. Derek, always a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for being part of it. And we're looking forward to the seminar on the 22nd of September. It's going to be great, mate. All jokes aside, it is going to be great. For someone like me who's a bit of a bunny, I'm really looking forward to it. I need the advice. Simple as that. I haven't got any money, but I look forward to having some one day and wanting to make it grow. So that'll be good. Yep. And I think the course is going to be great for me.
One last thing I do want to bring up. I do a lot of audiobook listening.
Yes.
I hate reading with a passion, so I listen to audiobooks while playing computer games. So a couple of books that I found that were really, really helpful to get my mindset around finance, because it's not so much how to spend your money, it's understanding what your money is actually going to do.
Okay.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill I found was absolutely amazing.
Right.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, and The Cash Flow Quadrant was another really, really good one, also by Robert Kiyosaki.
Cash flow quadrants are really good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I should, the books I'm reading not working for me?
Penthouse and Playboy don't count.
Can you still buy them? I don't think you can. And with
I
that,
think they're called people now. You get them out at the petrol station
no idea.
behind those little white cards so you can't see the front image.
With that, we're going to end the show today. Thank you very much
How
for
do you
being
know
here.
that, Travis?
Yes, yes. Because Travis walks along with a white card in front of him. Right. Now, we had a request before for Hotel California, I believe.
We did for Fiona. We've had a heap come through. Crash Test W's, Tony,
of course.
Basil, Hey Mickey. We've also had Scotch Rocks, and we had Led Zeppelin, Kashmir, and Mumbo number 1.
Number 1?
I thought it was
Dude,
number 5.
It's number 5. Okay.
I
That's
don't
all
know.
right.
Well, I'm just reading.
This must be like the Star Wars thing. Maybe it's a prequel.
Alfred said Mumbo number 1.
Okay, well, that's cool. Well, I'm going to transfer to the other studio.
That's not the rule 34 on Mumbo number 1.
Yeah,
Mumbo number
You're on
5.
about now. But I'm going to go to the other studio very soon. Thank you all for being part of today's show. We're going to hit the music though. I've got a song in there for Gus as well. We're going to have some Jimmy Barnes coming your way really soon. Thank you very much for being part of it. EdgeRadioAustralia.com. Tell your friends, all right? Tell them nice things. Don't tell them the truth. Tell them nice things. Get on board with us. We are very much a freedom network, and we want to get information out there that's going to make your life better. And we want to also very much support West Australia and Australian talent. Simple as that. Have a wonderful time. Keep your requests coming in. I'll even give you a text number.
Subscribe and follow.
You could do that too.
And don't eat any crickets.
Yes, keep your crickets to yourself, right? If you want to send through a text request, you can go to 0409 20928 205. I missed a number, 0409 205 928. That's 0409 Peugeot 205 Porsche 928, just so you know. Are we ready? Can we call it? Can we call the show now, mate?
Yeah.
It has been a fantastic Talking Money here. Thanks very much. We're going to California now. Thanks very much, hotel and
You've lost your line, haven't
I've
you?
completely lost my train of thought.
EdgeRadioAustralia.com. Have a great day.
Beautiful boys.
That was a 7-minute
I think you've
goodbye.
had too many scotches. I seriously think you've had too many scotches. By the way,
I need some desperately.
Josh was saying, "Oh wow, Josh, he got rid of his porn star image and he's now got him frowning in a suit as his logo." Apparently, the Scotch Rocks was a drink request, not a song request. So it's good to see our listeners are a bunch of alcos.
Yeah, well, enough in it. All right. So
Now, did you get all those requests? Because
No.
once I bring the stream down, we'll. Oh no, they'll be in the comment section. We'll just get it up there. Awesome.
Okay.
Anyway, ladies and gents, yes, we are still online. Any final questions for Derek before he runs? And we had actually really steady followers online today.
very
which
cool.
was good.
Oh, I like to hear that.
I've been promoting this show, this segment.
Yeah,
You guys.
Awesome. Oh, really appreciate
To my
that.
listeners and my clients.
We are building beautifully. I love it. Now I'm just going to go into the other studio and change over.
Ha ha ha! I win! I had more viewers than you the whole way through.
Jeez. Such a child.
Hey, a win's a win. I'll take it where
You'll take it.
I'm married. I'll take a win whenever I can get one. All right, ladies and gents, I'm going to pull the stream down. Thanks for jumping on, having a listen. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, and any topics you want us to cover, just make sure you send us a message. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you later.
Bye, guys.